In East Africa, now Uganda's State Minister for Internal Affairs has apologized in Parliament for the use of torture. Kenya Obiga was speaking after President Yoweri Museveni condemned the use of torture in a letter to his top security chiefs. President Museveni described it as unnecessary and wrong. While speaking in Parliament, Mr. Obiga also referred to a number of recent reports suggesting that suspects have been tortured by the police. While the police in South Africa are investigating the spate of murders of young women in Johannesburg's Soweto township, Gauteng police launched the investigation after the bodies of 4 women were discovered at the weekend in and around the area. 3 bodies have been identified so far. Bongeka Fungula and Poppy Kwabi went missing on Friday. It has been reported that they were also raped. The body of Lerato Moloi was discovered in Naledi, a part of Soweto, while a 4th body was found at a dumping site. Local radio stations have been inundated with calls from South Africans calling for the government to step in and introduce harsher punishments in the fight against crime and also to do more to make women and children safer. Meanwhile, the leader of South Africa's opposition Democratic Alliance, that's Ida Mumusi Maimane, says that his party could win the 2019 election with the help of other parties. The ruling African National Congress has comfortably won every parliamentary election since it swept to power under Nelson Mandela at the end of apartheid in 1994, but the party has become increasingly divided under President Jacob Zuma.
Put the chances of a DA coalition victory in 2019 as low, but many believe it's achievable in 2024 if the ANC continues to disappoint its support base of poor black South Africans. The ANC is losing popularity under Zuma following a string of scandals and a failure to address slow economic growth, high unemployment, and gaping inequality.
The ANC is united around corruption. Zuma is not an isolation of the ANC. It's a collective thereof. Therefore, the people of this country must be aware that the project ultimately is about the removal of the ANC. And in 2019, there must be a coalition, a DA-led coalition of governments, as we've seen in cities, that will ultimately be able to say that democratic advances have taken place.
The DA hit a new high last year by taking control of 3 of the largest cities from the ANC in local elections. The results took many politicians and political analysts by surprise and opened a divide in the ANC ahead of a conference in December where it will choose Zuma's successor as party leader. Zuma can stay on as South African president until 2019, but he has faced public protests calling for his resignation in the last month.
It's not only the voice of political parties, the voice of all South Africans that says we must see change. And I'm not convinced. I'm convinced that the starting point is Zuma, but it can't be the finishing point. It must always be restoring South Africa to a constitutional democracy so that any president, regardless of where they come from, will always know that they are accountable to the Constitution.
Zuma also faces a no-confidence vote in Parliament this month following the cabinet reshuffle that the DA and some opponents in the ANC said was intended to insert loyalists who will prevent him from being removed. The Constitutional Court is currently deciding on a secret ballot vote against Zuma proposed by opposition parties.
The dream is always for a non-racial party. And so when you're trying to bring black and white South Africans together, there will be some who say, no, you are defending white people. There will be some of those because they fail to see the vision for a non-racial party. Nelson Mandela was criticized by others who said he sold out to the white people. The same narrative is being spewed. And I'm simply saying that if you want a dream for a non-racial South Africa, you must pursue it.
The ANC won 62% of the vote in the 2014 national election, down from 66% in 2009. The DA increased its share to 22% from 17%. If the ANC falls below 50%, the DA could rule under a coalition.
6 states located along the rivers that contribute to the Lake Chad from the Nigerian side are meeting in Jos, the Plateau state capital, to provide a sustainable funding mechanism for the basin's water management issues. Plateau, Bauchi, Kano, Jigawa, Yobe and Borno states are attending a technical summit to address the long-term failures in the management of the river systems that has affected thousands of hectares of farmland.
It's the regional summit on Hadejia Basin. Present at the meeting are experts in water resources management, including officials of federal and state ministries from the 6 states along the Hadejia Jama'are Komodugu Yobe hydrological basin.
This program officially.
They are here to figure out solutions to challenges caused by human activities responsible for scarcity of water in the region.
Today's technical session, which core objective is strategies for the resuscitation of the Hadejia Jama'are Komodugu Yobe Trust Fund, shows the determination of our government to engage in full discussion with other states in seeking solutions to the problems that arise as a result of uncoordinated water resources development and management in the basin.
Of great importance is the issues surrounding ecological disasters such as flood, erosion and drought, which are threats to life and property.
We are talking about a basin where rainfall is very, very low. From Hadejia up to the shores of Lake Chad, people depend on the water in the river to farm, not on rainfall. So once there is no water in the river, it means no farming, no livestock, no fishing. And that's what has been happening, and that's why the governors decided to create the trust fund to now collectively act on the basis of this platform to address the problem.
The rivers are not flowing normally again because there is siltation, and the siltation is blocking the flow of the river. And this does not only stop the river from getting to the places where it should get to so that farmers can use it, it also stops the river from getting water into the Lake Chad, and so the Lake Chad is drying. And then in addition, where there is a blockage, whenever it rains, the river now floods and overflows the boundary, the boundaries. And when it overflows the banks, it destroys farmlands in thousands of hectares along its basin.
Expected at the end of these deliberations are clear suggestions and recommendations on actions to be taken to address the challenges of water scarcity in the region.
Still to come on Network Africa. 3 Somali soldiers die while trying to defuse a car bomb in Mogadishu. That's in a moment.